Most people believe Allah guides love by changing their situation, but Islam teaches something far more beautiful. Allah does not begin by bringing the right person into your life. He begins by reshaping your heart so you do not lose yourself when that person arrives. That confusion you felt was not failure. That emotional distance was not coldness. That delay was not rejection. It was preparation. Allah was quietly removing what could harm you, softening what needed healing, and strengthening what needed to stand. Because love is not meant to be chased in panic or held together with fear. When Allah is guiding you, He guides the heart first. And when the heart is finally aligned, what is written does not arrive loudly or dramatically. It arrives with peace. Allah begins guidance by removing attachment. When Allah begins guiding your heart, one of the first things you notice is a quiet loosening inside you. Things that once felt extremely important no longer sit so heavily on your chest. You still think about them, but they no longer control your mood, your sleep, or your sense of worth. The constant urgency fades. The pressure to make it work at any cost disappears. You realize you can breathe again. This does not mean you stopped caring. It means your heart is no longer trapped. There is a big difference between caring and being controlled. Before, your happiness may have depended on a message, a response, or a certain outcome. Now, even if nothing changes on the outside, something inside you feels steadier. Many people misunderstand this stage. They think detachment means becoming cold or emotionally distant. In reality, it is the opposite. It is the heart being freed from panic, fear, and obsession. You are no longer acting from desperation. You are acting from balance. Allah removes unhealthy attachment because attachment can blind the heart. When you are too attached, you ignore red flags. You justify behavior that hurts you. You accept less than you deserve just to avoid losing someone. A heart in that state cannot recognize what is truly good for it. Detachment creates clarity. It allows you to see people and situations as they really are, not as you hope they will be. You stop forcing meaning where there is none. You stop reading signs into silence. You stop confusing effort with destiny. This space that opens inside you is not emptiness. It is room for truth to enter. It is room for peace. It is room for Allah's plan to become clear without being distorted by fear or desire. When Allah removes attachment, He is not taking something away from you. He is protecting you. He is teaching your heart how to stand on its own, so that when what is written for you arrives, you can receive it with dignity, calm, and clear sight. Guidance enters as calm, not excitement. When Allah begins guiding the heart, the feeling that enters is not excitement. It is calm. Many people expect guidance to feel loud and emotional. They think it will come as butterflies, racing thoughts, or overwhelming happiness. But Islam teaches us something very different. True guidance does not shake the heart. It settles it. You notice that your mind becomes quieter. You are no longer overthinking every word, every delay, or every small change. You stop replaying conversations in your head. You stop searching for hidden meanings. The constant mental noise fades, and in its place comes a gentle sense of stability. This calm is not boredom. It is safety. It is the feeling of not needing to rush or prove anything. You no longer feel pushed to act quickly out of fear of losing something. You are able to wait without panic and trust without forcing. Excitement often comes from uncertainty. It comes from highs and lows, from hope mixed with fear. One day you feel close, the next day you feel anxious. This emotional roller coaster feels intense, so people mistake it for love or guidance. But intensity is not peace, and Islam never told us to build our lives on emotional chaos. When Allah is guiding your heart, your emotions become more balanced. You feel grounded even when answers are not immediate. You are okay not knowing everything yet. Your heart is no longer begging for reassurance because it feels quietly held by trust in Allah. This calm also shows itself in your actions. You stop rushing decisions. You stop pushing conversations that do not flow naturally. You stop feeling the need to control outcomes. You allow things to unfold without fear because your heart is no longer afraid of what will happen if things do not go your way. Calm is one of Allah's greatest signs. It protects you from making choices based on emotion alone. It keeps you from attaching too deeply, too quickly. It allows you to listen to your intuition without panic clouding your judgment. When guidance enters as calm, it gives the heart room to think clearly, to choose wisely, and to stay connected to Allah. This is why the love that comes from Allah does not feel overwhelming or confusing. It feels steady. It feels safe. It feels like your heart has finally found a place where it does not need to fight to feel secure. Allah corrects the heart before the relationship. When Allah plans something good for you, He does not rush to change the people or the situation around you. He starts by changing what is inside you. Many people ask Allah to fix a relationship, to change someone's behavior, or to bring things back the way they were. But Allah, in His wisdom, looks deeper. He knows that if the heart is not corrected first, even the right relationship will feel heavy, confusing, or unsafe. So before anything on the outside changes, Allah begins working on the heart. You may notice that your thinking starts to shift. Things you once accepted without question now feel uncomfortable. You become more aware of your own limits. You start recognizing what hurts you, what drains you, and what does not align with your values. This awareness is not meant to make you bitter. It is meant to make you honest. Allah corrects the heart by removing desperation. You stop feeling like you must hold on to someone at all costs. You stop believing that your worth depends on being chosen. You realize that love is not something you beg for or chase until it damages your self-respect. This correction can feel uncomfortable at first. You may feel distance where you once felt attachment. You may feel clarity where you once felt confusion. But this discomfort is not loss. It is alignment. When the heart is corrected, expectations also change. You stop expecting perfection from people and start expecting consistency, respect, and sincerity. You stop confusing attention with commitment. You stop mistaking effort for intention. This protects you from disappointment and emotional harm. Allah also corrects the heart by teaching patience. Not the kind of patience that tolerates mistreatment, but the kind that trusts timing. You learn to wait without anxiety and to walk away without hatred. You understand that delay does not mean denial, and silence does not always mean rejection. A corrected heart can handle outcomes without breaking. If something works out, it does not become arrogant or careless. If something ends, it does not collapse or lose hope. This balance is essential because relationships test the heart in ways nothing else does. Allah corrects the heart first because relationships are not meant to complete you. They are meant to complement a heart that is already standing. When the heart is healthy, it can give love without losing itself and receive love without fear. Only after this inner correction does Allah allow the relationship to take shape. Because when the heart is aligned, it can recognize what is truly good for it and walk toward it with wisdom, dignity, and trust in Allah's plan. Allah dismantles fantasy before revealing reality. Before Allah brings clarity into your life, He often removes the picture you created in your mind. Many hearts fall in love with an idea, not a reality. We imagine what someone could become, how things might improve, or how love will eventually fix everything. This fantasy feels comforting because it gives hope, even when the present does not feel right. Allah, in His mercy, does not allow the heart to live in illusion for too long. When He begins guiding you, the fantasy slowly breaks. You start seeing things more clearly. Small behaviors that you once ignored begin to stand out. Promises without action no longer satisfy you. You stop filling in the gaps with excuses or imagined futures. This process can be painful. It feels like something beautiful is being taken away. In reality, Allah is removing what was never solid to begin with. Fantasy often hides discomfort. It allows us to stay in situations that drain us by convincing us that patience alone will change everything. But Islam does not teach us to build our lives on what if. It teaches us to build on truth, responsibility, and clear intention. As fantasy fades, reality becomes clearer. You start seeing people as they are, not as you hoped they would be. You recognize patterns instead of isolated moments. You understand that consistency matters more than words, and effort matters more than promises. This clarity protects the heart. Without fantasy, you stop over-investing emotionally. You stop sacrificing your peace for potential. You stop calling emotional struggle a test from Allah when it is actually a warning. Allah dismantles fantasy so you can make decisions with wisdom. A heart caught in illusion cannot hear guidance. It is too busy protecting the dream it created. Once the dream dissolves, the heart becomes open to truth. Reality may feel quieter than fantasy, but it is safer. It does not confuse you. It does not keep you guessing. It does not require you to ignore your own discomfort. When Allah reveals reality, He is not trying to disappoint you. He is trying to save you. He wants your heart to be grounded, not floating on hope alone, because what is truly meant for you will not require you to imagine a better version of it in order to survive. Guidance restores dignity to the heart. When Allah begins guiding your heart, one of the most beautiful changes you experience is the return of dignity. You slowly stop doing things that make you feel small. You stop explaining yourself over and over just to be understood. You stop lowering your standards to keep someone close. You realize that peace is more valuable than approval. Before guidance, the heart often compromises itself without noticing. It tolerates behavior that hurts. It stays silent when it should speak. It gives more than it receives, hoping love will eventually balance things out. Over time, this quietly weakens the soul. When Allah restores dignity, the heart begins to stand upright again. You become more honest with yourself. If something feels disrespectful, you no longer brush it off. If something feels wrong, you no longer force yourself to accept it. This does not make you harsh or unkind. It makes you self-aware. Dignity does not mean pride. It means knowing your value without needing validation from others. You no longer chase attention. You no longer beg for consistency. You no longer feel the need to prove that you are worthy of love. This change is often misunderstood. Others may say, you have changed, become distant, or become difficult. In reality, you have simply stopped abandoning yourself. Allah restores dignity because no healthy relationship can be built on self-erasure. Love that requires you to shrink is not love that will protect you. Islam teaches that honor, self-respect, and emotional safety are not optional, they are essential. As dignity returns, boundaries become clearer. You are able to say no without guilt. You are able to walk away without hatred. You are able to remain kind without allowing yourself to be mistreated. This dignity brings peace to the heart. You no longer feel torn between what you want and what you accept. Your actions begin to match your values. Your heart feels lighter because it is no longer carrying the weight of self-betrayal. When Allah restores dignity to your heart, He is preparing you for a love that honors you, because what is written for you will never require you to lose your self-respect in order to keep it. Allah teaches you what love is not. Before Allah shows you what real love is, He often allows you to experience what love is not. This is one of the hardest lessons for the heart, because it usually comes through disappointment, confusion, or emotional exhaustion. You may enter something with good intentions, hoping it will grow into something beautiful, only to slowly realize that it is draining you instead of nurturing you. Allah allows this not to punish you, but to teach you. Through these experiences, you learn that love is not anxiety. If your heart is constantly uneasy, waiting, or afraid of losing someone, that feeling is not love. Love does not keep you in a state of fear. You also learn that love is not inconsistency. Words that change from day to day, effort that comes and goes, and affection that depends on mood all leave the heart unstable. Real love does not confuse you about where you stand. Allah teaches you that love is not sacrifice at the cost of your dignity. Giving is part of love, but losing yourself is not. When you are always the one adjusting, excusing, or enduring pain in silence, something is out of balance. You begin to understand that love is not intensity alone. Strong emotions can feel powerful, but they do not automatically mean something is healthy. Intensity without stability burns the heart. It excites at first, then exhausts. Through what hurts, Allah sharpens your understanding. You start recognizing patterns instead of isolated moments. You stop making excuses for behavior that consistently makes you uneasy. You learn to trust your inner discomfort instead of ignoring it. This learning process changes how you love. You become more careful, more grounded, and more aware. You stop rushing into emotional attachment. You give yourself time to observe, to understand, and to protect your heart. Allah teaches you what love is not, so that when true love appears, you do not mistake it for boredom or overlook it because it feels calm. You recognize it because it brings peace instead of confusion, safety instead of fear, and balance instead of emotional struggle. What Allah teaches through pain becomes wisdom, and that wisdom protects you from settling for less than what your heart was created to carry. When the heart is guided, chasing ends naturally. When Allah begins guiding the heart, one of the clearest changes is that the need to chase quietly disappears. You do not force yourself to stop chasing. You do not make long promises to be strong or detached. It simply ends because your heart no longer feels empty or desperate. Something inside you feels settled enough to let go. Before guidance, chasing often feels necessary. You feel responsible for keeping the connection alive. You initiate every conversation. You explain yourself repeatedly. You try harder whenever distance appears, believing that more effort will bring clarity or security. But when the heart is guided, this pattern breaks. You no longer feel the urge to prove your worth. You no longer feel anxious when someone pulls away. Silence no longer feels like rejection that must be fixed immediately. You realize that what is meant for you will not require constant pursuit to stay. This does not make you passive or careless. It makes you balanced. You still show interest, but you no longer chase interest that is not returned. You still care, but you do not abandon yourself to keep someone close. Allah removes the need to chase because chasing often comes from fear. Fear of being alone, fear of missing out, fear of losing something you believe is rare. Once that fear leaves, chasing has no reason to exist. You begin to trust that effort should be mutual. If something flows only when you push it, it is not flowing at all. Guidance teaches the heart to recognize this without bitterness or anger. When chasing ends, peace replaces urgency. You become comfortable letting things reveal themselves naturally. If someone stays, they stay because they want to, not because you held everything together. If someone leaves, you do not collapse because your heart is no longer tied to chasing outcomes. Allah teaches the heart that what is written does not need to be hunted. It arrives with clarity, with balance, and with ease. And when your heart truly understands this, it stops running after what was never meant to stay and becomes ready to receive what will not need to be chased. Allah aligns the heart with taqwa before love. Before Allah brings love into a person's life, He often brings the heart back to taqwa. Taqwa means awareness of Allah in every choice, even the emotional ones. When the heart is aligned with taqwa, it no longer acts only on desire. It begins to ask deeper questions. Is this pleasing to Allah? Is this protecting my dignity? Is this drawing me closer to peace or pulling me into confusion? You may notice that you become more careful with your actions. Conversations that once felt normal now feel heavy. Boundaries that once felt optional now feel necessary. This is not restriction. This is protection. When Allah aligns the heart with taqwa, He teaches it to slow down. You stop rushing emotional closeness. You stop crossing lines just to feel connected. You realize that not every feeling needs to be acted upon immediately. This awareness brings clarity. You start understanding that love in Islam is not separate from responsibility. It is not just about how strong emotions feel, but about how safe, respectful, and halal the connection is. Taqwa also softens the heart. You become more mindful of intentions, both yours and others. You care about honesty, sincerity, and accountability. You stop excusing behavior that contradicts values, even if emotions are involved. When the heart is guided by taqwa, it becomes easier to walk away from what is wrong without hatred and to wait for what is right without impatience. You trust that Allah sees your restraint and will replace it with something better. Allah aligns the heart with taqwa because love without taqwa eventually harms the soul. It leads to guilt, confusion, and regret. But love that grows within taqwa brings peace, clarity, and blessing. This alignment prepares the heart for a love that does not distance it from Allah. A love that strengthens faith instead of weakening it. A love that feels safe, not only emotionally, but spiritually as well. Guidance clarifies what you can walk away from. When Allah is guiding the heart, one of the strongest changes you notice is clarity about what you no longer need to hold on to. Things that once felt impossible to let go of no longer have the same grip on you. Not because they stopped mattering, but because your heart understands something deeper now. You realize that not everything you desire is meant to stay in your life. Before guidance, walking away feels like failure. You fear regret. You fear that you will never find something similar again. So you hold on, even when staying hurts more than leaving. But when the heart is guided, this fear fades. You begin to see situations clearly, without emotional fog. You recognize patterns instead of isolated moments. You understand the difference between temporary difficulty and ongoing harm. This clarity allows you to step back without anger or bitterness. Walking away no longer feels like loss of love. It feels like protection of the soul. You also stop blaming yourself for endings. You no longer think that if you had tried harder, been quieter, or sacrificed more, things would have worked. You understand that what requires constant self-betrayal cannot be written for you. This guidance brings emotional maturity. You are able to leave without causing drama. You do not need closure through conflict. You trust that Allah knows the full truth, even if others do not. You also become more patient with outcomes. If something does not move forward, you accept it without resentment. If a door closes, you do not force it open. You recognize that Allah closes doors to protect you from harm you cannot yet see. Guidance clarifies what you can walk away from so that your heart does not remain trapped in what drains it. Allah teaches the heart that staying is not always loyalty and leaving is not always loss. Sometimes, walking away is obedience. It is trust. It is the heart choosing peace over pain and faith over fear. Allah removes fear before bringing certainty. When Allah is guiding the heart, He does not immediately give answers or certainty. He first removes fear. Fear is one of the strongest forces that clouds judgment. It makes the heart rush. It makes small things feel urgent and wrong things feel necessary. A heart filled with fear cannot choose wisely because it is only trying to survive. So Allah begins by calming that fear. You may notice that the fears you once carried start losing their power. The fear of being alone softens. The fear of missing out fades. The fear that time is running out no longer controls your decisions. You stop feeling like you must accept whatever comes just to avoid loneliness or regret. This change is quiet, but powerful. When fear leaves, the heart becomes steady. You no longer panic when things are unclear. You no longer assume the worst when something is delayed. Silence does not feel like rejection, and waiting does not feel like loss. Allah removes fear because fear pushes the heart to settle for less than it deserves. A fearful heart accepts inconsistency, ignores discomfort, and stays in situations that harm it. Once fear is gone, those compromises no longer feel acceptable. As fear fades, trust grows. You begin to believe that Allah's plan is kinder than your anxiety. You understand that what is meant for you will not pass you by because of patience or boundaries. Certainty does not arrive with loud signs or dramatic moments. It arrives after the heart is no longer afraid of any outcome. Whether something works out or ends, you feel stable. You know that Allah will take care of you either way. Allah removes fear first, so that when certainty finally comes, it is chosen freely, not out of desperation. This is how guidance protects the heart and prepares it to receive what is written with confidence and peace. Guidance makes timing feel trustworthy. When Allah is guiding the heart, your relationship with time begins to change. Before guidance, time feels like an enemy. You feel late. You feel behind. You compare your life to others and wonder why things are not happening for you yet. Every delay feels like a sign that something is wrong. But when the heart is guided, timing starts to feel trustworthy. You no longer feel pressured by age, milestones, or other people's timelines. You stop measuring your worth by what you have or have not achieved by a certain point. Instead of panic, there is acceptance. This does not mean you stop caring about the future. It means you stop fighting the present. You begin to understand that Allah's timing is not random. It is precise. What arrives too early can damage the heart. What arrives too late can break it. Allah brings things when the heart is strong enough, wise enough, and ready enough to hold them without harm. With this understanding, waiting feels different. It no longer feels like punishment. It feels like preparation. You use the time to grow, to heal, and to become more grounded. You trust that nothing meant for you is being delayed without purpose. You also stop rushing decisions just to keep up with others. You are no longer tempted to settle out of fear that time is running out. You choose carefully, knowing that patience now prevents regret later. When guidance makes timing feel trustworthy, the heart relaxes. You move forward without panic. You wait without resentment. You accept without despair. This trust in timing allows the heart to stay peaceful, even when answers are not immediate, because deep inside, you know that Allah has not forgotten you, and what is written will arrive at the moment it can bless you, not harm you. Allah guides the heart so love can rest. When Allah has guided the heart through all the earlier changes, the final state He brings it to is rest. This rest is not excitement or constant happiness. It is something deeper and steadier. It is the feeling that your heart is no longer fighting, proving, or surviving. It finally feels safe to simply be. Before guidance, love often feels like effort. You are always adjusting, worrying, or holding things together. Even during good moments, there is tension underneath. The heart is never fully relaxed because it is afraid of loss, change, or disappointment. When Allah guides the heart, that tension fades. Love no longer feels heavy. It no longer feels like work you must constantly maintain to avoid collapse. The heart feels settled, not because everything is perfect, but because it trusts Allah's protection. This rest also shows itself in your emotions. You are not constantly overthinking. You are not anxious about where things are going. You are not emotionally exhausted from uncertainty. Even silence feels safe, because your heart is no longer scared of it. Love that rests does not test your faith. It does not pull you into guilt or confusion. It does not demand that you sacrifice your peace to keep it alive. Instead, it fits naturally into your life and your values. This is the love Islam points toward quietly. A love that is calm, dignified, and grounded. A love that allows you to grow closer to Allah, not farther away. A love that feels like support, not pressure. Allah guides the heart so love can rest, because a restless heart cannot love well. Only a heart at peace can give love without fear and receive love without losing itself. When love finally rests in the heart, it no longer feels like something you chased or struggled to hold on to. It feels like something Allah placed gently into your life at the right time, after preparing you to receive it with gratitude and calm trust. And this is what many people never realize. Allah does not delay love to punish you. He prepares the heart so love does not destroy you. If your heart was rushed, it would attach to what is wrong. If it was fearful, it would settle for less. If it was unhealed, it would confuse intensity for destiny. So Allah guides the heart first. He removes what weakens you. He teaches you discernment through experience. He restores dignity, calm, and trust. Only then does love become safe. If you are waiting, it is not because you are forgotten. If things ended, it is not because you failed. If your heart feels quieter than before, it is not emptiness. It is alignment. Trust what Allah is doing inside you, even if you do not yet see what is coming. Because when the heart is ready, what is written will arrive without force, without fear, and without confusion. And when it does, you will recognize it not by excitement, but by peace.